Welcome back to Hey Girl Hey, Life Through the Lens of Female Friendship. I'm your host, Becky Kessler-Sykes, and today's episode is extra special because our guest isn't just an incredible woman, she's also family. She is the newest of female friendships in my life, and it has been an unexpected gift. She became my mother-in-law about a year and a half ago when I married her son, Oliver. We have similarities, we have differences, and we have a whole lot of mutual respect for one another. Liz was born in New York City and spent her 20s and 30s as a single mom, raising her son in New Jersey and commuting into Manhattan for work. She's whip smart, she's lived abroad, she speaks 5 languages, and currently resides in the Southwest, living her best single life in her 70s with 2 cats and an active social calendar that honestly puts mine to shame. Welcome, Liz Carp. Hey girl, hey.
Hey girl, hey.
So I'm going to put you on the spot here. You speak, and let me see if I can remember this correctly. English, French, Italian, Spanish, Portuguese? Are those the 5?
Yep. Yeah.
You think you could say a little hey girl, hey in each of the 5 languages?
I could try. Okay. Spanish. Hola chica, hola. French, salut ma fille, salut. Portuguese, hola menina, hola. And Italian, ciao bella, ciao. In English, hey girl, hey.
I think it sounds the coolest in English, let's be honest. I love that so much. Thank you. I saw an unclaimed quote the other day that I thought was perfect for our episode. It reads, "I'm a single mom. What's your superpower?" I understand that sentiment all too well, and I'm sure you do too. So let's open with when you became a single mom. I know you split with Oliver's dad when he was very young. We don't need to go into all the trauma of that. We'll save that for another episode. But I would love to hear how the exit went down and what that initial pivot looked like with a young child. Can you set that up for us?
Sure. Oliver, who will occasionally be referred to, by the way, as OJ, as you know, because that's his childhood name.
Right.
He was not quite 2. I had gone to college to get an MRS degree. That was what women of my generation did. So I studied art history, which was very nice, but which was not going to be a career. And I had lived in France, and I did some miscellaneous, exciting, fun jobs. Ran an art gallery. I was an interpreter. I worked for a film producer. But, it was always thought that I would meet Prince Charming, and he would whisk me off, and I would be basically a housewife producing kids, taking care of family. So all of a sudden, I found myself with a husband who was not doing well. He was hospitalized with mental illness, and it became very clear that I was going to have to support me and my son. And the first thing I think I did is I went down to Florida. My dad would spend winters there. I was hoping he would say, well, don't worry, honey, I'll help you out. And instead we had one of the most bizarre conversations. He was Depression era. He was kind of financially pretty tight. And he said, well, there's always welfare. I love my dad dearly, but the message was clear. You're on your own, sweetheart. So when I got back to New Jersey, I networked and I found a job in Manhattan. And I basically had to drive because there were no buses or trains that actually could get me into the city. And I was lucky enough to find a job working for David Frost. I got myself a job as an assistant secretary, and I did not type, and I knew for sure that I was going to have to really scramble. And Oliver was in daycare with this woman and her son. He was 2.
Right.
I mean, basically,
he turned
27.
You were 27. Okay.
Yeah. And working in the city, we worked California hours, so I didn't have to be in until 10. But I also didn't leave the office until 6, which meant that I would be home at 7 p.m.
Okay, so take us like hour by hour through a day as a single mom at 27, 2-year-old toddler driving from New Jersey into the city. What time are you up? Let me have the whole schnoodle.
Okay, what I vaguely remember was, the first thing that comes to mind, the image is being in the shower and going, yes, you can get through the day. It's like 6:30 in the morning. It's dark, it's winter, it's the East Coast. Obviously, I would get Oliver dressed. I would drive him to school. I didn't have a washer dryer, and some guy had, in a raincoat, followed me into the laundry room of the apartment complex. So I decided after that I would take my laundry to the laundromat, and I could leave it. So I go to the laundromat, I go maybe pick up some food. And then I drive into Manhattan and work all day, leave the office around 6, and it would take me 45 minutes or so to get home. And I actually cherished that time because it was decompression time. It was
Right.
downtime. I had really good babysitters who would in the early days pick him up. Eventually he ended up at the Jewish Community Center. And they had fabulous programs like young architects and science programs, which he enjoyed. He
Right.
was on the swim team. So he would stay and I would pick him up either at the JCC. Sometimes he'd stay on and he'd have money for a hamburger. And sometimes I'd swim and he and I would swim together. And we'd come home. And by the time I put him to bed, and spent some time and read to him, I would stay up until at least 11 o'clock, not because I was such a night owl, but because it was quiet time. And I'd go
Right.
to bed and it would start all over again.
Yeah, I remember a very similar
Yeah.
version of that when Marilyn was little and I became a single mom. But I didn't often make it till 11 p.m. I would often lay down, read her stories to put her to bed. We had
Yeah.
both already taken a bath or a shower together because that was the easiest way to do everything. And I would just fall asleep with her at 8:30 or something like that because I was just so knackered. So I know that exhaustion all too well. It takes a village to raise a child, as the saying goes, and historically, that's exactly how it was done, with women collaborating and raising their children in community. I actually learned a term for that recently. It's called allo parenting. But there you were in one of the world's largest and busiest cities. Did you find your village, and what kind of support did you have in your life at that time? And how did you utilize it?
I had a neighbor I was very close to, and in a pinch, if I didn't have a babysitter, if there was a conflict, she would take Oliver. The biggest issues, and I'm sure you had this too, Becky, is that all's fine whenever the kid's healthy. But what do you do when all of a sudden, Mommy, I don't feel well? And then, you're in mom mode or you're in doctor mode. Does he have a fever?
Right.
Does he not have a fever? Can he go to school? Can he not go to school? So my dad helped a bit. He would come. If I called him, he was about half an hour away. He would come and he would actually take over and I'd go to work. I had fabulous bosses. And so when OJ had things like a cold, not sick enough to really stay home, but not well enough to go to school, I would drag him to work with me. And because I worked in the film and television industry, I would park him in front of the video monitors for the day. And my bosses were totally cool with it. So that was a major support. But I traveled. And every time I traveled, it seemed to be that was the morning that he woke up with chicken pox. So it was a lot of juggling. I was pretty much on my own. His father rallied and eventually was able to take him sometimes on weekends. So that was a support and a help. And I would just crash on the weekends.
Right.
Or do the laundry and do the shopping, which you do as a single parent. I mean, you maintain your house and whatever you've got.
Absolutely. I remember that distinct feeling in my nervous system that I would get when the fever goes up or they start to complain or they vomit in the middle of the night and you're going to have to juggle
There were 2 times that I remember. Once when I was in California on business and I get a call from his father saying that Oliver's had a small accident. We're at the ER and the neurosurgeon is with him now. They think he may have broken his neck.
Oh my God.
I got to the airport and I showed up at 3 o'clock in the morning by the time I got to the Englewood Hospital. And there was the kid with a cervical collar on. And the other time was weather in New Jersey and New York. I got a phone call that they were closing school. So I called a dear friend of mine who was a wonderful woman. And I said, they dropped Oliver by in the bus because they're letting the kids out. And I'll come by your house. I'll pick him up. I'm leaving now. And the bus got stuck in her driveway. And so 15 kids on the bus piled into this house. It was hysterical.
Oh my God. So the favor to your child ended up being a favor to a whole bus full of kids. I love that story. Being a single mom can thrust you into survival mode. It certainly did for me for a time. If you could go back and change anything about that time, what would it be?
I mean, in an ideal world, it would have been lovely to have been able to find a job in Englewood, to not have to commute. On the other hand, the upside was that I ended up finding a career that I loved and was successful at. Maybe I would have pressed my dad a little bit on the financial side and asked for some more help.
I think the asking for help is a big one. It's really hard for women to do that. I certainly internalized that this was my child and my responsibility and would feel like my failure if I couldn't handle all of it on my own somehow.
Yeah.
Taking help is hard enough, but actually asking for it without it being offered, that was really hard for me. So you mentioned the fact that Oliver's dad was able to step in and start to have some weekend time with him, which all of a sudden frees up a
Yeah.
little time for you to get out in the world and date. And I know you went on to remarry years later, a very natural and inevitable evolution for a young woman. And that began a whole new chapter of integration for you and Oliver. I know from talking with my husband how much he missed your attention once you remarried. And though that must have been such an exciting time for you in so many ways, what were the parts of your life with just you and Oliver that you missed and held dear?
We did some trips.
Mm.
I took him, I found a farm out in the country, and you could actually pick tomatoes and corn, and there were all these animals. And the thing he loved most on that trip was there were kittens. I took him to, I rented a houseboat one year. There was a houseboat in West Hampton, and it had a grill, and it was starting to rain. So what did I know? I brought the little charcoal grill inside away from the rain, and it started to fill up with smoke. It probably could have killed us, set the place on fire. But, I was a city girl. I mean, I didn't know from these things. And it was when Oliver turned 7 in Paris. But he remembered stories from when I lived there about the Vietnamese restaurant that they had a phone book for toilet paper. So we went back to the restaurant. And sure enough, he went, first thing, Mom, I have to go to the bathroom. When he went in, he came out and he said, it's exactly the same. They still have the phone book.
That's beautiful. Thanks for sharing all that. You've lived so many lives: single mom, professional, traveler, linguist, friend, cat mom, and you've done it all with so much grace and grit.
Thank
I'm
you.
grateful you came to the show to share this part of your journey. Before I let you go, I am going to ask you a list of rapid fire questions that I ask all my guests. So
Yes.
buckle up, Liz. Name a place on your travel bucket list.
Probably going back to Tuscany.
Perfect. Lights on or lights off?
How old am I? Dimmer and candlelight.
Okay, I like it. Kind mood
Okay.
lighting.
Yeah.
Okay, chocolate chip cookies or potato chips?
Oh, chocolate chip cookies.
Right?
Soft,
So good.
gooey.
Fresh out of the oven. What's a song that's sure to get you on the dance floor?
Anything Aretha Franklin, anything of that era. A Little Respect.
Yeah, a little respect. I'm into that.
Yeah.
Who would you pick as your road trip buddy?
I think it would be you, Rebecca.
Really? We
Yeah.
should do a road trip.
We
That would be
should do
fun.
a road trip.
To all the single moms listening, we see you doing twice the work for half the credit. Find your village. No one should go at it alone. And it has been my experience that though we worry about our children and feel fully responsible for their well being, especially when they're young, the truth is they are generally going to be okay if mommy is okay. So work the steps for you to be okay. Easier said than done, but there it is. There's the advice from Hey Girl Hey. Liz, thank you again for joining us. That's it for today's episode. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share Hey Girl Hey to all your friends. Until next time, stay connected, stay curious, and stay strong. Bye, y'all.
Bye. Hey, girl. Hey. Love you.